All right, we are here with a championship transformation. I have a very special client with me that just completed her 6 weeks with us, and I'm going to let her tell her story. What is your name?
My name is Michelle English.
All right, Michelle. And how old are you, Michelle?
I am 46, turning 47 soon.
46. Okay, 46 years young. And what do you do for work, Michelle?
I'm a social worker by training.
Okay, social worker. So I guess are you out and about in the field, or do you find more? Is it more
Yeah,
office work?
yeah, I work in the forensic system generally speaking, but at the moment I'm working in addictions. And so I do a lot of group programming with folks with different forms of mental health or substance use addictions.
Okay. Okay. So it sounds like a little bit of a stressful job, would you say?
It can be, it can
Can
be,
be.
but it's also very rewarding too. I saw a lot of parallels between my experience in this 6 week challenge that I was able to share with a lot of my clients in my group. So,
That
um,
is
yeah, I'm excited to share that with you
That is
today.
awesome. I want to talk about that. But let's talk a little bit about how your life was like before starting the challenge. What would you say, where was your health and where was your fitness like and level like before you
Mhm.
started this?
So it was pretty sedentary for the most part and just really not eating very well. But literally right before I had started to do some work with just eating better, trying to do more water intake. The part where I was really struggling with was upkeeping exercise. So just keeping up my motivation and exercising regularly, that was a bit of a challenge. Um, and yeah, I really wanted to be able to continue that process. And so that's how I found out about Fight Fitness and decided to join the 6 week challenge.
Cool. So you started to do some stuff, but it sounded like the consistency was what you were really
The
lacking.
consistency just wasn't there. That's
Okay.
right. That's right.
What,
And
what
so
was
when I
the
came,
what was
oh no,
nutrition
I
and
was just gonna say, so
nutrition like?
my nutrition, oh gosh, like I was eating any and everything, but a lot of like fried foods. Like there was really no, I wasn't really washing what I was eating. And I also have high blood pressure, so it was becoming problematic and very evident in what my blood pressure was like. It was very high. So I needed to cut down on all of the fried foods and just like really fatty foods, high salt content. I needed to cut it all out. And so this was a really great opportunity to just do a restart altogether. And it worked.
Okay, it worked. Let's talk about the results. What were some of your results in the
Yeah.
last 6 weeks?
Well, so one of the things that I went into, Coach Mark is who I worked with, and so I identified to him that consistency was one of the big things for me, and I really wanted to work on getting my blood pressure down. So my blood pressure starting off in the program was in the 140 to over 90 range. By the time I completed the challenge, I have been consistently under 120, over 80, but like within that range. So 115 to 120, 125 sometimes, and then 70 to 75, sometimes 80, but still within that healthy range and no longer hitting those 140 to 90s, which was paramount for me.
That was huge. And that was probably your biggest, it sounded like that was your biggest goal, get that blood pressure down into a healthy range.
That that was it. And then the secondary one was consistency and exercise. So I've been consistently attending my 3 classes. 6 weeks challenge is done, but you can have a look at my calendar, and I've lined up my 3 classes, and I'm continuing to go, and I really enjoy it. And that's what I needed. I needed the community. I needed the consistency. Coach Mark has been really great at encouraging me, and all of the coaches, every time I come to a class, they're always, like, yeah, Michelle, I can see a difference in your endurance, your ability to keep up, and that just really feels good for me.
Love it. Love it. So you touched a little bit on
Yeah.
the non-scale victories, which was the blood pressure was your primary goal, not necessarily weight loss, but
Yeah.
the pressure's down, healthy levels now. Number two, you're now consistent with workouts, which you were struggling with maintaining. What were some of like body changes or anything that you experienced after the 6 weeks?
Yeah. So I also lost 5 pounds, and I also was able to. So I was at 173, I got down to 168, and I had 4% body fat, which was awesome. One of the things that I do notice with my body shape is that when I took my initial photos, you could see like there was like my arms were a bit thicker, my stomach was a little bit um, bloated. You could see that in sort of the cuts along the sides of my frame. But when I took the follow-up photos, that's when you start to see, okay, yeah, I'm seeing the inches are going down. Like it's not obvious, but there have definitely been changes in just my overall inches and loss. So
Love it. Love it.
that for me was like a bonus.
Love it. And I think everybody's journey is a little bit different all the time. Like some people's may be weight, some people might be blood pressure, some people might be inches. That's why we always like to look at the like a whole bunch of different measurements. So I'm glad that you took the before and afters because you could see the differences and you could see the inches coming off. But congratulations on the 5 pounds and the
Yeah.
4% body fat. That's huge. Now, you mentioned earlier that you had challenges maintaining consistency. And I think you touched on it a little bit that the coaching was great, but what kept you coming back, considering that you hadn't been able to
Yes.
maintain that consistency in the past?
It's community, right? This fight fitness has been a great place to come back to because I've developed this community team. And um, I said it in my review that it busts my tail to get up for 6 o'clock classes because I work 9 to 5. And so 6 o'clock classes guarantees if I get there, I get my workout done, and I can get on with the rest of my day. So I realized that that's like the best time for me to work out. And it's hard to get to that class, but once I get there, I do the class, I feel great when I'm finished. So, it's something that I just really, really enjoy and appreciate. And that's been huge. And on top of it, again, it's that consistent team atmosphere. It's the same group of people. We're all kind of making transformations and changes together. We do photo shoots after our classes are done. I do a lot of my workouts with Coach Kiana. She's awesome, such great energy. And I've had some opportunities to connect with some of the other coaches as well. And it's just been really, really nice. It's just that consistent personal connection that you have with folks on the team. So that's
That is
really
aw-
been big for me.
that is awesome. And I think the common theme with this is community. And I think you said there were some parallels with what you do with your work and with addiction and
Yes.
helping people. What would you? I mean, I think you touched on it, but what would you say where those parallels are?
So that's a big part of the addictions groups that I run is that we really focus on the importance of community. So when you are part of a group, you're developing connections and rapport with other group members. You're cheering each other on in the process of your recovery. And one of the things about recovery that a lot of folks sometimes will come into the group and not really kind of understand, or they'll get upset with themselves, is they'll come in, they'll sometimes make some they'll find that they experience a bit of backlash. So they'll make some steps back. They might, there might be some mistakes along the way with their recovery, and they feel a bit kind of lost in that experience. And so we always encourage every single time that somebody comes back to the group and they said, I fell off the wagon, so to speak. And we're like, but you're here. You came back, and we really want to just encourage you to keep going. That's the whole part. That's the whole thing with recovery. Recovery is a process, and it's a repetitive one that just, it keeps going. It's a journey, a lifelong journey. And it's the same thing with exercise. It's the same thing with nutrition. It's not this fad. It's not this thing that you just do for a short period of time. It's lifelong. So every time you make changes to your nutrition, it's about maintaining it. Every time that you exercise, it's about maintaining it. And as you maintain that consistency, you build strength, and it's not just strength in body, it's strength in mind in order to develop that discipline that you need to keep up with that consistency. So everything that I'm learning for myself is all stuff that I'm teaching folks within my groups. So it's just really nice to see how that just kind of transforms within my work. And that's a really key component. So I know at least now when I'm talking to folks about maintaining consistency, I can make parallels and say, hey, there was a time when exercise was not something that I kept up with, and taking care of my health and nutrition wasn't. But as I've started to incrementally see these changes in my life, I have way more energy. My blood pressure is better. I feel healthy. I feel stronger. These are all things that are motivation for me to keep going. And I also have this really awesome community. And that's the same thing that my clients will say as they start to see, okay, yeah, I understand and I'm getting it and I'm understanding this recovery journey and I recognize that, yeah, it's a lifelong process. So it's great.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And it's just showing up day in and day out. Where you're gonna make mistakes. Nothing's gonna be perfect. You just gotta show up and keep doing the thing. And it's gonna be a journey. Everybody's just different. Love that message, Michelle. Now, my final
Yeah.
question to you is a two-part question. Um,
Mhm.
First off, A, when you were about to sign up for the challenge, A, were you skeptical? And B, what would you say to somebody that was maybe in that same position being or skeptical about the challenge to get them started?
Yeah. Skeptical, maybe like a little bit. Because it literally was just like I think it was a clip or it was some kind of like advertisement that I saw on like Facebook, and I was just like, I don't know, is this gonna work? I'm not so sure. So I was like, okay, well, we'll give it a try. We'll see. And definitely it worked, and I definitely saw the results. So in terms of giving people the encouragement, I would say to them, it it never hurts you to try. That's the first thing. And once you start to try and you see results, that's the thing that really will help to keep you going in this process. And like I said, it's one thing to do a 6 week challenge, come to the end of it, and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm done. It's not really that you're done. That's the trick. Because it's actually it's like a starting point. So, and you may not recognize that to begin with, but as you start to go through this process, you recognize that, I'm now developing a discipline and I like this and I want to upkeep it. And that's the whole thing. Like that's the benefits of going through this process is that you got to try it and you will be convinced
I love that
that it's worth
message.
it.
I love that message. I always say the true transformation isn't that the 6 weeks, the numbers that you've lost, the weight that you lost, the blood pressure that went down. The true transformation is now from where you were before, where you were inconsistent with workouts, to now somebody that's focused on their fitness, super consistent, and really make it
Yes.
part of your life. So congrats, Michelle,
Mhm.
on your championship transformation. I can't wait to see you maintain
Thank
this
you.
and maintain these lifelong habits that you've developed. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I appreciate the whole team. It's been wonderful, and I look forward to continuing with my classes and getting stronger.
That's it. Let's do it. Thanks, Michelle, for this interview.
All right.